Manga is a funny thing. Manga makes you feel something. Baka, ooh, ooh. Hey. Manga Tuesday. G'day, I am Darcy. Welcome back to Manga Tuesday, episode 102. And today, as requested by the big Reckles Zach, we shall be taking a look at my top 10 favourite manga of all time. But not just my top 10 favourite, my top 20 favourite manga of all time. But not just my top 20, my top 25 favourite manga of all time. I've read a lot of manga, and there's a lot of manga I haven't read. There's just a lot of manga. Now, I think this goes without saying, this is my own personal list, and obviously only things that I've read can appear here. Now, there's a lot of manga I own that a lot of people hold in very high regard, but I myself haven't read them yet, so you won't be seeing them here. So if I see one person say, "Where's Attack on Titan?" I'm gonna heart that comment. I don't even own Attack on Titan. This list was both difficult and easy to compile. Now, I'm pretty confident in like 18 or 19 of these that definitely deserve to be in my top 20 favourite manga. I'm just, the ordering, this order could really be completely different. And then there's a few manga in that sort of 20 to 25 range that, you know, I'm not so sure, should they be there? Maybe there's some others that could have been there instead of them. But once we get inside to the top 20, I'm pretty confident that they deserve to be in the top 20. I'm just not confident in the order necessarily, but yeah. I'll speak about each series briefly as I go through it and how I feel about it. I'll try not to be too long-winded because, as you can tell by this long introduction, it's probably going to be a long episode regardless. But, you know, some of these I've done Manga Tuesdays for where I have more extended thoughts, and some of them I'll do Manga Tuesdays in the future for them where I'll able to really extend on my thoughts. So I'll try and keep it brief, but I also don't want to say nothing. Let's just get to the list and stop blibber-blabbering and, you know, my top 25 favourite manga of all time. Ding dong. Ding dong! At number 25, we have Girls' Last Tour. Girls' Last Tour is kind of a cute girls slice of life-ish type manga, except it's set in a sort of post-apocalyptic world, so there's a lot of dark undertones. It's not your typical slice of life, and it has a very unique art style that I think adds a lot of character to it, and I quite enjoy it. I mean, obviously, I enjoy all the manga on this list. That's what this list is. I probably don't need to say I enjoy it for any of these manga, because that should be obvious. Wasn't I supposed to stop blibber blabbering? The story focuses on these two girls as they explore this barren wasteland of a ruined world. And things happen, believe it or not. And the ending I remember being very, very good. I quite enjoyed the ending. Maybe this should be higher on the list. The ending. I forgot about the ending. So poignant. Ding dong! Number 24. I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. There was also a movie version of this, which I haven't seen, but based off the art styles, I prefer the more cutesy, so to say, art style of the manga version. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but you know what I'm going to, because I think it brought up pretty early in the manga, and it also might be obvious by the title, but the girl in the manga has pancreatic cancer or something along those lines, and she befriends this boy, and things happen. Ding dong! Number 23. Ojo Jojo 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 Jojo. A four-coma coming of age developing tale of love, so to say. It's written by the creator of Dragon Maid, but I think this is his best work. I've done a full Manga Tuesday on it, so if you want to hear my extended thoughts, you should check that out, because it's actually a real review, believe it or not. Ding dong! Number 22. Claymore. Claymore is a shonen manga about these strong, dominant women who aren't really truly 100% human. They're sort of these half-breeds, and they're known as claymores because they carry around these big-ass claymores. 27 volumes, it's a riveting tale. It has its ups and downs, but I think it starts off strong and I think it ends very strong, and it's very touching at different moments. A top tier manga for fans of those sort of typical adventure battle shonen type mangas, and one of my personal favourite shonen mangas, but not quite a top 20 favourite manga of all time.
Ding dong!
21. The Golden Sheep. At 3 volumes long, it is a short but sweet, beautifully crafted coming-of-age tale. I'm not exactly really sure what coming-of-age actually means, but I think it's appropriate for this manga. I'm pretty confident in that fact. I'm so confident in that fact, actually, that I think coming-of-age is the perfect way to describe this manga. I feel like nothing more can be said than coming-of-age manga. The Golden Sheep.
Ding dong!
Starting us off in the top 20, we have Girlfriends. Girlfriends is an iconic, classic Yuri manga, and it still remains one of the very best in the genre, and a very good starting point if you're looking to get into Yuri manga. It's been a while since I've read it, so some of the details are actually a little foggy, but one thing I do remember is I enjoyed it very much so. It's written by Milk Morgiana, who is somewhat of a god of Yuri manga. She's written many great Yuri mangas, and many consider Girlfriends to be her magnum opus. I'm somewhat of a Yuri connoisseur.
Ding dong!
At number 19 we have Tonari no Seki-kun, My Neighbor Seki. I first came into contact with My Neighbor Seki at uni that one time when I went to anime club for 2 weeks and then never went again. But we watched this anime called Tonari no Seki-kun, aka My Neighbor Seki, and it was fucking phenomenal. I absolutely love the anime. It's like one of my top 5 favourite animes. And eventually then I would check out the manga, and I love the manga as well, and it extends far beyond where the anime ends. But I definitely do prefer the anime more, but I still really love the manga too. It's a simple comedy slice of life set in a school. Simple premise, boy, girl at school. Boy does crazy thing, bringing in the dominoes or toy robots or etc, etc. Girl gets distracted by him and freaks out with over-the-top reactions, and comedy ensues. I very much recommend. I mean, these are my top 25 favourite mangas of all time. I would recommend all of them, so that goes without saying. But did you know this? Fun fact, I enjoyed it. What?
Ding dong!
At number 18, we have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. What needs to be said? Come on, everyone knows JoJo's. I may be holding volume 1 of part 4, but I'm not picking any particular part. I'm just looking at JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as a whole here. And I've only read up to part 4, by the way. I've read the first 4 parts, haven't read beyond that, at a bit of a crossroads. Want to read more, but only like 3 or 4 so volumes are out of part 5, and it's going to take forever, so I guess I should just read it online, but I hate reading things online off a fucking computer or phone. It's like, But of the parts I have read, I guess part 4 might be my favourite, although I also really like part 3 and part 2. What's his name? Hirokakakuya Kari is a master at his craft. Very good at creating suspense and intrigue and bizarreness. Oh.
Ding dong!
At number 17, we have a classic. Bada bing, bada boom. Yes, at 17 we have Dragon Ball. I mean, really, what can be said about Dragon Ball? A true classic, a true iconic shonen. And despite what you've heard from some negative Nallies and negative Nancys out there, it does hold up. Particularly, I think the manga holds up. Maybe even more so than the anime does. No excruciating filler and bad pacing to get through with the manga. The manga. My favourite characters are Kid Goku, Kid Krillin, Roshi, Vegeta. Bulma's pretty hot. Well, by Android 18.
Ding dong!
At 16, we have 20th Century Boys. I did a full review of this last episode, so check that out if you want to hear my extended thoughts. As I begun reading this, I thought it would rank a lot higher. I was expecting it to crack into the top 10, but I guess once I reached the conclusion, it had fallen a little bit in my mind, and now I'm wondering, should it even have been above Dragon Ball? But I don't know, I really did enjoy it early on. Maybe I'm being a little harsh on 20th Century Boys. Maybe it should be higher. But everything above it from here on is also fucking phenomenal. So, I mean, Number 16 is nothing to be sneezed at. Foreshadowing Sneeze being number 1. Anyways, it's a Naoki Urasawa manga, and Naoki Urasawa manga is a really actual true master of his craft and can really craft a fucking intricate, intriguing mystery that... Just go watch episode 101 if you want to fucking know what I feel about 20th Century Boys. It's good. Guess what? Shocker, I enjoyed it. Before we jump into the top 15, let me just quickly rattle off a few honourable mentions that didn't quite make the top 25, but maybe could have. Ding dong! Tomo-chan is a Girl, a fabulous 4-coma. 5 centimeters per second, an intriguing tale of love and romance. The God's Lie, written by the same author as The Golden Sheep. Frag Time, a Yuri manga endorsed by the Yuri connoisseur himself, me. City, a great comedic series by the same author as Nichiju. Then I guess that's it for honourable mentions. I mean, I could go on forever with a bucket load of honourable mentions, but I don't wanna. Let's get in to the top 15. Ding dong! Kicking us off at number 15, we have another truly iconic manga. It is the great Akira, or as nerds say, Akira. Anyways, Akira is fucking epic. You may have heard of it from the Akira movie that was obviously massively popular. But from what I understand about the movie is it was made while the manga was still coming out. The manga wasn't finished yet. There's 6 volumes of the manga, but I think the movie only really has the first 3 volumes, plus maybe some elements of volume 6, because I guess the creator already had some ideas in mind of how he was going to end it. But when I read the manga, when the manga went from this is good to this is amazing, was in volume 4. Volumes 4, 5 and 6 were by far my favourite volumes of the manga. What can be said about Akira? A lot of things, but it's been so much talked about. You should already know what Akira is, so... you know, fucking Google it. Fuck you. If you've watched the Akira movie but you haven't read the Akira manga, you should definitely check out the Akira manga. I mean, it's top 15 favourite manga of all time. That's a big endorsement. Long story short, I enjoyed it. Ding dong! At number 14, we have the great Parasite. I've long said, if you're new to manga, if you're trying to get into manga, Parasite is a solid starting point. Not too long, not too short, and an incredible, captivating story. Involves an alien invasion, but not in the cliche way that sounds. It's these parasites. I was sort of just reading the blurb to give me good describing words. But these parasites rain down from the sky, these invaders, and they blend in with the humans. But one guy cops it in his hand. He doesn't get fully taken over, so he's got this alien thing in his hand. Guess what happens after that? Things happen. But that's the thing. It's sort of based in the real world. It is grounded to an extent, but it has that little bit of, you know, anime-ishness. A great first manga, I would say. Or just a great manga in general, if you like manga. You know, if you haven't read Parasite, bro. It's fucking Parasite, bro. It won an Oscar. An Emmy? I don't care. It didn't win that. That was some shitty movie that ripped it off! Ding dong! At number 13, we have Maggie. A phenomenal adventure shonen manga that draws on many elements from the 1001 Arabian Nights. You got Aladdin, Alibaba, etc, etc. Yeah, so it's got that sort of unique Arabian-esque aesthetic setting that's nice. It starts off a little more simply with them just sort of exploring dungeons, and it's sort of low scale, but it will eventually expand into a much broader, expansive political warfare and higher beings all battling, and there will be lots of battles of epic proportions. And for some reason, a lot of the boys in the manga are cute. There's a lot of cute boys in it. Nobody can know why. It's a mystery, like evolution. But yeah, believe it or not, I really like Magi. It's one of my favourite shonen mangas, and once again, if you're a fan of those sort of typical adventure battle shonen mangas, I think this is one of the very best in the genre, and I think you should definitely check it out. Oh, and also I really like Morgiana and Alibaba's interactions and how things develop and grow between them. It's good. Ding dong! At number 12 we have Message to Adolf. Written by the true OG, Osamu Tezuka. I personally think this is Tezuka's greatest work, probably due to the fact that I haven't read that many of Tezuka's works. And also, it's a really fucking good manga. It centers around World War II and around 4 different Adolfs. One of those Adolfs being the Adolf Hitler, one of them being a reporter named Adolf, and then 2 young children named Adolf. One of them being a French Jew, I think, and the other one being half Japanese, half German, if I recall correctly. Maybe the French part of the Jew one was wrong. I can't really remember. Why was he French? I don't think he was French. Did I just make that up? I think he's just a Jew. Anyways, it's a detailed, intriguing story and how these characters mesh. Mystery and stuff happens. Here, the blurb sums it up better than I ever could. Like Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, Message to Adolf is the work of an aging genius whose creative powers could still top all his contemporaries. No one but Tezuka could string this many ideas together and keep it coherent. No one else could sketch up so many characters and give them all purpose. It's hard to think of another Tezuka work as complete as this one. Grade A. I need to do this more for reviews. I just read the fucking... That was the anime news work, their words. I should just read the blurbs. That can sum up the manga better than I ever could. Ding dong! At number 11 we have narrowly missing out on the top 10. It is School Live, not School Live. If you want to hear my full extended thoughts on this, I did a full Manga Tuesday on it where I actually reviewed it properly, so you could check that out. But basically, it's that sort of set up, at least, as a typical cute girls doing cute things, you know, funny slice of life. But everything is not as wholesome as it seems, as they are in some sort of mid-apocalyptic world where everyone's fucking dead. And there's a bunch of zombies, although they are very specific to never actually refer to them as zombies. But there is a bunch of the living dead that are infecting more people. And they are holed up in their old school, in their old classroom, just living out the school days as if they're just still at school and as if nothing's wrong. But the darkness begins to seep in, and it is an emotional journey, but still has those light, comedic, slice of lifey moments spread throughout the darkness that seeps in slowly and begins to take over. You really connect with the characters, and I cried deep, flowing tears as I read the final chapter, as I was processing the chapter before and coming to terms with eminent conclusion. Safe to say, I enjoyed Quickly, just before we get into the top 10, please feel free to comment below what would be in your top 10 favourite manga of all time, and also comment below what you're surprised didn't make my list, or maybe what you're surprised wasn't higher on my list, or what you're surprised wasn't lower on my list, or, you know, just comment where was Attack on Titan. Ding dong! Number 10 is Non Biori. As opposed to School Live, Non Biori is just a cute girls doing cute things, comedy slice of life. It is what it is at face value. It is what it is, and it is what it is. But what it is one of the best of the slice of life genre. It does what it says it's going to do very, very well. It's one of my most anticipated releases. Anytime a new volume comes out physically in English, I very much look forward to getting it and reading it, and it's just funny and cute and, you know, wholesome. as they say. It's enjoyable. The manga is actually now finished. The final volume is going to come out physically in English in a few months or so, and I very much look forward to getting it and reading it. If you can believe that. That one of my top 10 favourite mangas of all time I'm looking forward to reading. Wow, didn't see that coming, Darcy. Colourful cast of characters, all great. I love Hikone. She's epic. Oh, also, it takes place out in the fucking country, out in the middle of nowhere. So there's not many people in the town, not many people around at their school. There's only like fucking 7 or so, or less maybe, I'm forgetting. But they're all like just in one classroom, all the grades, and there's like one of them per grade, and they're just all friends, and that's all the main characters. It's everyone. It's out in the fucking boondocks, mate. It's a really good manga. I believe the anime was pretty popular, but I haven't actually seen it, but I can tell you this, the manga is fucking epic. Ding dong! At number 9, we have Full Metal Alchemist. Another phenomenal shonen manga. A tale of two brothers who mess around with alchemy and leads to one losing their arm and one losing their entire body and having their sort of, I guess, soul trapped inside just an empty metal husk. And it'll explore a wide array of themes from life and death to political corruption to religion and etc. And it's just a well-told story. And once again, if you're a fan of shonen, I know a lot of people are big fans of shonen manga. It's like my first manga. Everyone loves those shonens, those Dragon Balls, those One Pieces, those Narutos, Bleaches, etc. If you're into that type of manga-ish vibe, this is a very, very good manga. That's understating it. It's great. That's understating it. It's awesome. Like The Miz. 27 volumes long. I have the box set up there off camera, or is it slightly in camera view maybe, hidden behind that framed Bailey print. I think I cried during this manga too, probably. It's not that surprising. I cried during Claymore. I at very least teared up during the anime some scenes. It has some deep, rich characters that you get very attached to in whatever, I don't know, that's such a generic statement to say. That could be said about like any good manga. But it's really good. Is it hot in here or is it just me? Whatever, who cares about my opinions on it? My opinion is, it's my number 9 favourite manga of all time, so. Ding dong! At number 8, we have Good Night Punpun. Oyasumi Punpun. Like the Omasumi Express. Punpun is an interesting manga. It's kind of like, I guess you could say, a slice of life manga. We get a slice of Punpun's life. What's noteworthy is that Punpun is represented by this little simplistic bird figure, while all the other characters in his life are fully fleshed out characters, except for some, like his mother and other family. His appearance will alter slightly over the course of the manga, depending on the situation and his mood and his age and etc. But the visuals in this manga are very striking. And the manga itself definitely explores and dives into some dark themes, to say the least. And depending on you and your life, it may speak to you, or you may be able to connect with certain feelings felt within it in some minor ways or more major ways, depending on yourself. But it is a very highly regarded manga series by those that have read it, and I think for a very good reason, because it's a very well-crafted manga. Inoue Asano, the mangaka, is a very well-regarded mangaka, and I think probably the majority of people would consider this his greatest work. Yeah, it's a very, like I said, a striking and thought-provoking manga. It's a dense read, and it's number 8 on my list. Ding dong! At number 7 we have, no matter how I look at it, it's you guys' fault I'm not popular, aka Watamote. Watamote is sort of a black comedy schoolgirl slice of life, but where it differs from most, schoolgirl slice of lives is those sorts of mangas are like a group of girls all friendly together, just light-hearted, doing shit together comedically. This manga focuses on one girl in particular, mainly, who is a bit of a loner, so to say. Tomoko she's a bit of an incel, some would say. Not the voluntary type. But yeah, she's kind of a bit of a loner, a bit shy and awkward, and has a little bit of anger towards the normies, as she would say, and gets into a lot of awkward and uncomfortable positions, and there's a lot of, I guess, cringe comedy? Is that a good way to describe it? But it's certainly very different to a lot of other manga out there. There's not much that I can think of that's like it. That's because I don't have a very expansive manga. It's a very different type of manga. Pretty, unique. I find it entertaining, and I guess I find parts of it somewhat relatable at least. But later on, the manga does change a lot towards the end. She does actually start to gain some friends sort of in the later half of the manga. Early on, it's like her and then like a couple of other characters that appear every now and then that she kind of knows, and like one family member. Like, it's a very small cast of characters, but now where the manga is at, like about 20 volumes in, it has a very large and eclectic, expansive cast of characters. Colourful characters. And I enjoy a lot of the new characters who are introduced, and I do think it makes sense for there to be some sort of growth on Tomoko's part. It makes sense, I guess. And it has been enjoyable to see and watch, and like I said, I love some of the new characters, particularly Emiriuchi, and her sort of relationship with Tomoko is great to see play out. Something about the new chapters that are coming out, it does feel a little bit lacking. It feels like it lost the unique identity that Watamote had when it's beginning. What made me love the manga so much in the beginning, simply put, it's lost some of the magic that the early volumes had. I think also another problem is the mangaka doesn't seem to want to end the manga. He's really stretching it out. Like, time progression wise, time is moving a lot faster in the early volumes for her first couple of years of high school. But now we've hit the third year and he is really stretching everything out. I think I used to have this much higher on my list, close to a top 5, but I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't know. So I actually pushed it down a bit. So it's Watamote has dropped a little. Perhaps mainly due to some of the later chapters. But anyways, all we can hope for is that Uchi and Tomoko end up living happily ever after together. That's the good ending, folks. Those that know. Ding dong! At number 6, we have the great Yotsuba. Yotsuba is amazing. It's a very cute, very wholesome, fun, entertaining, comedic slice of life, focusing on a young girl and her dad living together, and the wacky hijinks, I guess, she gets up to, the creative mind of a child. As far as slice of life goes, many would consider Yotsuba to be the very best, and I would agree almost. As far as sort of those slice of life comedy series go, this is my second favourite, but it is really a work of art. It's hard to not have a smile on your face reading this. Enjoy everything. Really sums up this manga. I have a collection of volume 1 of Yotsuba. Manga Tuesday, episode 10. Ding dong! Jumping into the top 5, we have Monster by Naoki Urasawa. Monster is another fantastically written, intricately woven crime thriller mystery tale by the great Naoki Urasawa. It focuses on the Dr. Tenma, who makes the decision to save a young child over some rich politician or something. But instead he saves the young child, but then that young child would end up growing into a monster as murders happen and things occur. Things happen, that's for sure. And those things that happened, they're enjoyable. But Naoki does a great job of creating suspense, and he's so great at the cliffhanger chapter endings where it's like, whoa. It's such an interesting, captivating read. I've ran out of words and synonyms of words, but I fucking love Monster. It is such just a brilliant read. Did I say captivating? I know I just did, but it is captivating. You'll just want to read it and read more and like, oh. And Naoki Urasawa has such a good art style. It's a very unique art style, but it is beautiful and little realistic-ish kind of, but with that Naoki flair. I think this is Urasawa's masterpiece. A lot of people love Pluto, a lot of people love 20th Century Boys. I do too, but I think Monster is his magnum opus. If you want to hear my full extended thoughts on it, I did a full Manga Tuesday on Monster, so that's definitely a real review. Ding dong! At number 4, we have a terrible looking volume cover for these Vizbigs, but we have Vagabond. Terrible front cover for the Vizbigs, but beautiful spines. Vagabond is a samurai manga about the allegedly real person, Miyamoto Musashi. This is sort of based on the novel Musashi, which is loosely based on the real person, allegedly, Miyamoto Musashi. I haven't read the novel, but I know the manga does make some big changes. For example, one of the characters is blind in the manga, and they are not blind in the novel, so it is, that character is sort of completely different vibe to it. I found this manga a very interesting, first of all, an interesting read, I was going to say, but first of all, the artwork is absolutely beautiful. Probably the best, I'll say, the best artwork I've seen in any manga by far. My favourite artwork in a manga is Vagabond. Beautiful artwork on top of beautiful artwork all the way throughout. And despite being a samurai manga, there is, I guess, a less of a focus on the action. You'll get a bunch of, you know, thoughtful thinking. What a way to describe it. I'm just burying this manga now. Musashi is somewhat of a philosopher. He wrote the Book of Five Rings, allegedly. But even within fight scenes, it's very much about the psychological. It's very much a mental battle as it is a physical for most of any sort of the combats. And it'll definitely dive deep into their sort of thought process and just panels of silence. You can just take in the beautiful artwork and take in the scene that is unfolding before you. The only, I guess, problem is that it is unfinished and maybe forever unfinished. It's been on hiatus for like over 5 years. Has it been 10 years yet? Maybe, I don't know exactly, but there's no clear sign if Takara Inoue is ever going to come back to Vagabond. Oh, by the way, it's written by the same person that wrote Slam Dunk, which is a popular manga you might have heard of. I haven't read Slam Dunk yet, planning to very soon, just need to buy the last couple of volumes. He did publish some artwork or something at something, like, he detailed some ideas that he had for the ending of the manga, and based off that I read, it seems like a fucking phenomenal ending. I really hope that he's pretty close to getting to that ending. I really, really hope he comes back to it and completes it, because it'll really be such a shame if a manga is as poignant as this remains unfinished. That would be a darn shame, if you ask me. Even though it will be a shame if it never gets a true ending, I feel like the journey so far has been so fulfilling that, I mean, it was still good enough for me to put it forth, and I don't think you should let that distract you from reading it. I still think it is very much worth reading, even if it never got its true ending that it definitely deserves. Anyway, let's move on to the top 3. That was probably unlucky not to make it. I was considering putting that third. I was also considering putting Monster third, but I've put something else third. Let's move on. Ding dong! At number 3 we have Bloom Into You. This is a Yuri manga, and it is the first Yuri manga that I ever actually read, and it is by far my favourite Yuri manga of all time. I don't know why I bought this manga at the time that I bought it. I really knew nothing about it. I don't know if just the cover was interesting or whatever, but I was just like, I just bought one volume one time just out of nowhere many years ago. I do that a lot sometimes. I see a cover or a title or something and I'll just buy the first volume sort of to remind myself like, hey, maybe I should buy more of that at some stage, or maybe I'll read it eventually. And most of them, I have a lot of volume 1s here and there and everywhere that I've just never touched, but this one I did touch. One day I was just like, I'm gonna read that. So one day I laid down on my bed. I read outside a lot of times now, manga, under the sun in a chair, just chilling. But at the time on this day, I laid down on my bed, on top of the covers, and I read this first volume, and I was just like, my heart was a flutter. My brains were tingling with enjoyment and awe at what I was reading. I'd never read a Yuri manga before. And don't get it wrong, this is not a hentai, it's not super sexual, and I think this set the standard for what I look for in a Yuri manga. Oh, I mean, it definitely did, but it is such an interesting tale of two girls falling in love in a very unique way that is there's a lot of obstacles in their way, and they'll get tangled up in things and problems and issues that they have to solve, and will things work out in the end? You'll have to read the manga to find out. Very much focuses on the two main girls. There is one other sort of main character that has a pretty important role in the series, and there's a few other characters that also have importance, but it is very much about these two and the third wheel. Their blossoming relationship, friendship, confusion is quite a sight to see, and there are some deeper elements, a little bit more behind the scenes going on there that will be explored deeper into the manga, and there will be some coming of age, perhaps. I have been meaning to reread this for ages now, since the final volume came out physically, and I have yet to do so, but I plan to do so very soon, and once I do, I will do a full manga Tuesday on it and really dive deep into my full extended thoughts. But know this is a Yuri manga, and it is epic, and I enjoyed it incredibly so. It's number 3 on my top 25 favourite manga of all time. Fucking love Bloom in You. It's epic! Now, before we go on to number 2, I have to tell you something. There is no number 2. We have a 1A and a 1B. I was very conflicted over these top 2. I almost put 1B as number 1A. I almost did it. I almost made the switch, but I've stuck with what I've always said. I don't know if I agree with the decision, but the decision has been made. Let's see what's 1B first. Ding dong! 1B is the great Azumanga Daioh. Azumanga Daioh is a comedy schoolgirl slice of life 4-coma written by the same mangaka as Yotsuba. This is an iconic slice of life series, and it is regarded as a pioneer for the genre, a classic that many of the modern day slice of lives draw inspiration from. And for that reason, some people will stupidly say it doesn't hold up, but I guarantee you it holds up, the anime and the manga. In fact, I actually like the manga better than the anime. A lot of people might disagree. It is a 4-coma. A 4-coma made it to 1B on this list. 4-comas are underrated. You should not write off things because they're 4-comas, and 4-comas are like that, by the way. It's a 4-panel strip going down. A lot of people may scoff, turn their nose up at the 4-coma, but I'm here to tell them they're fucking stupid idiots. 4-comas can be wonderful and entertaining, and Exhibit A, Azumanga Daioh, it's hilarious, and it set the standard, set the bar very high for these comedy schoolgirl slice of lives. And it makes use of the 4-coma format. The jokes are very quick and snappy, and it moves at a quick pace, and it's just do. Something that can get a little bit lost in the Azumanga anime, I think. The manga remains quick and snappy and engaging. There's another word. If you do want to hear my full extended thoughts on Azumanga Daioh, you should check out my Azumanga Daioh review and my Tomo Takano collection video, because I love the character of Tomo Takano. But yeah, I've long said that what is 1A is my favourite manga, but I've always had Azumanga Daioh at number 2 for so long, but I've always said, like, but it might be number 1. Oh, I don't know. In the end, I caved and I kept it at number 2, but not exactly. I kept it at 1B because I mean, I'm really not sure about my decision, but I've been meaning to reread Azumanga Daioh, so maybe I should do that. And maybe if I had done that, maybe that would have been enough. Maybe if I realised just how much I really love it, it could have been 1A. But I haven't reread it. So for now, it will remain 1B, but oh, it's close. And it definitely gets better as it goes along. The first, like, few chapters or so, it's you know, it's a little finding its footing still, but the deeper you get into it, the more these characters just become fleshed out in the story and everything just, it all starts to click. And it's a comedic masterpiece. And I also teared up when I got to the end of this manga, just because it's like, it's not a sad ending, it's just, it's sad whenever you come to the end of a manga that you really enjoyed and you've been living with these characters, living out their lives for so long, and now you're like, man, this is coming to the end. I'll never read a new Azumanga Daioh chapter ever again. This is it. I know a lot of people would put Yotsuba above Azumanga Daioh, but as you can tell from this list, I disagree. Now the only question is left, what is 1A? And if you're a big time fan of the channel, you should already know what 1A is going to be. In fact, if you're a big time fan of the channel, you should have known what 1A and 1B both were going to be, just maybe not sure in what order, but now it should be crystal clear to the Manga Tuesday maniacs, the Manga Tuesdayniacs. They let's just, number one, ding dong. At number one, we have the great Hunter x Hunter. A truly phenomenal adventure shonen manga that breaks boundaries and breaks norms in so many ways, in the best of ways, and subverts your expectations in the most satisfying of ways. I fell in love with Hunter x Hunter the moment I started reading it. It was pretty early on in my manga journey. I hadn't read that many mangas before I read this, and when I read this, I wasn't intending to. I bought the first 4 volumes of Hunter x Hunter at the same time as I bought the Full Metal Alchemist box set, as well as a few other things. But because of the shipping, they ship things like individually, separately, so the volumes of Hunter x Hunter actually arrived before the Full Metal one, and I was going to wait. I just sort of got Hunter x Hunter because I heard good things about it when I googled what are good manga. Full Metal and Hunter x Hunter were 2, you know, recommendations, so I just got it. But I wasn't intending to get into this anytime soon. I was looking more at Full Metal Alchemist, but then, like I said, Hunter x Hunter showed up first, and I was like, I guess I'll read a volume. Can't be bothered waiting. And then, by the time I finished reading just the first volume, I think I had already ordered like another fucking 6 of the volumes or something like that. And by the time I finished reading the 4th volume, long before those other volumes arrived, I think I went on and bought like the rest of the entire series. I was just encapsulated. I don't know if that's the right word, but I was just captivated by Hunter x Hunter. It was mind-boggling how much I enjoyed this manga, and it only grows in enjoyment. The manga has so many fucking epic moments. One critique people have is the art style. A lot of people don't think Yoshiri Togashi is the best artiste, or at least that he rushes a lot, and that is true to an extent, but reading it at the time, I really didn't notice it. I mean, I'm not wowed by the art like I was by something like Vagabond, but I mean, it's like Azumanga Daioh, it's got a pretty simplistic art style. I mean, it's not like the art, that's even more simplistic, it's a 4-coma, but yeah, the art style isn't like mind-blowing, but I don't feel like it really detracts from the story. I don't think it infects my enjoyment of the manga at all, at least me personally. If you were worried about the art style affecting your enjoyment, then I would definitely recommend just to watch the anime Hunter x Hunter 2011 version, because it is very true to the manga except for one key detail, which is kind of annoying, but it has beautiful fucking animation style. But fuck anime, we're talking about manga. Hunter x Hunter manga, epic. My personal favourite arc is the Chimera Ant arc. Maybe a little bit slow in the beginning, but the second half of it really just picks up, and it's my favourite arc in all of manga, really. I nearly cried. This was the first manga I nearly cried at, sort of the final Gunji game. But I held it in when I read the manga. But then when I was watching the anime, I tried to hold it in, but I just couldn't. The tears were flowing. At the same scene, I already knew what was going to happen because I had read it, but it was still that touching that seeing it animated, the tears were, I could not stop them rolling down. And from that moment on, I think I've just embraced it whenever I'm reading a manga. I enjoy it. I want it. I want the tears. I embrace them. They heal me. They're good. I could do a whole Manga Tuesday about that, but the point is, I really fell in love with the characters in Hunter x Hunter, and I really get attached to them, and I think it's great. Like I said, I think it's great. That's an understatement. Like I said, the Chimera Ant art is my favourite art. The Yorkanu City arc is also very highly regarded. I think the first arc, the Hunter exam arc, is underrated. It is also unfinished. It is also on hiatus. Maybe a less catastrophic hiatus than Vagabond. There is still the potential that Togashi could return, but this latest current hiatus is the longest hiatus ever, and it's getting a little bit concerning. But I actually think it's even less of an issue than the Vagabond hiatus, because I think the manga could have already ended if he wanted it to. Where the anime ends, for example, I think the anime has a satisfying enough conclusion that if you watch the anime, you wouldn't think, oh, this is unfinished. You could just think, that's the end of the story. It's not, the manga continues, but if you got up to where, say, the anime ends, which is what, volume 32 or something, you could stop there and I think there's still a lot left unanswered, and still a lot of things that were teased and foreshadowed that haven't been fully explored and are left unanswered, but it could have been the ending if he wanted it to. But it is extending, and hopefully one day he will actually complete it. But I don't think you should let its uncompleted state stop you from reading it, because I think there is still very much a lot here to be enjoyed, even without a true final ending yet. My favourite characters are Meruem and Killua. And I also like Knuckle and Akalgo and Kurapika and Don's cool, I guess. Machi I like, she's hot. I like all the characters, fuck you. It's a great fucking manga, and it's 1A on my top 25 favourite manga of all time. Watch as they roll over my face right now, just to remind you of my top 25 favourite manga of all time. Like I said, the top 18 or 19 or so, I'm confident deserve to be in my top 20 favourite manga of right now. Obviously, as I read more, that will change. The ordering, I am still not confident about. They could wildly be different. Things could easily jump like 8 spots or so, or drop 8 spots or so. Yeah. And then, the last 7 or so could have dropped off completely for other manga to jump in, but it is what it is. I've chosen my list and I must live by it. Maybe in a few years I will revisit this and we'll see if it's changed. Once I've read a lot more manga, we'll see if the long-term battle between Hunter x Hunter and Azumanga Daioh, can Azumanga Daioh surpass it? I don't know. When I started talking about Hunter x Hunter a little bit there, and I started thinking how I felt when I read it, I started to think, oh, I really love Hunter x Hunter. Maybe I made the right choice, so I don't know. Manga, it's a beautiful thing. I need to read more often than I do. Sometimes I just let too many days go by without reading anything because I'm a fucking idiot, but I need to get into the habit of reading new manga daily again. I love the medium of manga far more than anime. I really don't watch much anime at all. I couldn't tell you the last anime I watched. It's not a massive part of my life, but manga is. I enjoy the manga, the process of reading it, and the pacing and everything just works better, I think, reading, and my phone buzzed. I don't know if you could hear that, but I love manga. So, like I said, let me know what you think of the list. What surprised you that was so high? What surprised you that it wasn't higher? What surprised you that it wasn't included at all? What surprised you that it was included at all? What would be in your top 25 favourite manga of all time? Please, I would love to know. Actually, please, comment below. Give me your top 5 or something at least. Rank them and I'll have a look and I'll be like, that's stupid. I'll be like, I can see that. Well, I'm sure this is going to be an episode that is far too long. I should have just done a top 10. Happy Manga Wednesday. You know what they always say. Anyways, let's just wrap this up. I like it when my hair gets long and I start pulling out these bits and it starts getting a bit of a buttercup style shape to it almost. maybe you can't see the backgrounds. We get that buttercup shape. The buttercup shape is the back. Can you see it? Is the background too dark? But I also like my hair short, so I'll probably cut it soon. One of my jibbity jabbity you soon I'm a human. What I gotta do get I'm superhuman. Rubber shades ricochet of me and glue to you. Never say never. Thanks for watching. And as always, a blue flower for Ignacio.
It's just another Tuesday. Tuesday. And if you were in for a spell where it falls into an order, you can help that. Well, yeah. No.